Remain in the peace of Christ. Our Mass is ended. Please be seated. As I mentioned earlier, when we were beginning, we gathered here because we are a university community where we enter at various times when we enter this family and we exit. People retire and go, people resign and go, people also go in the way that Professor has gone. And since he was in this family, we agreed as a university community, we are going to offer service to God in memory of him and praying to God that he may receive him as we have now done. And therefore, as a university community, we would also want to pay a bit of tribute to him and thanking God for his life. I just want to seek your indulgence that most of the things that we would want to say, many of us, will probably be given opportunities on Friday at home, because that's where we have a bigger community. Here we are as a small community of one family of the University of Nairobi, and therefore I will seek your indulgence that I will ask the MC to lead us for those who are going to say a few words of tribute. Again, after here, as you see the program, we also have another forum next door in our club, where we also can have an open space to share our moments with Professor. Is that agreed? So, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Father Peter Kaigwa, for having guided us and led us into that time of remembering the late Professor Raphael Munavu. And as you have shared, we want to give an opportunity to colleagues, friends of the late within this academic environment to come and say one or two things about the late Raphael Munavu. And to guide us in this, let me welcome Professor Mbidi to lead us in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We continue to reflect much deeper into the life and times of our departed Professor Raphael Munavu. At this point, I'm going to call upon Sundiata Munavu to read the eulogy. Come on, please.
Thank you all for being here in this holy house. There are lives that pass through institutions and leave them exactly as they found them. And then there are lives that transform those institutions, raising the ceiling of possibility, broadening access, and leaving legacies far greater than memory. The professor lived the second kind of life. He passed from this world the morning of April 26th this year, at the age of 79. To measure a life like his by years alone is to miss its true weight. That weight is found in the soul he turned, the minds he opened, and the nation he helped build. By those enduring standards, his life was one of profound significance and quiet, unassuming strength. He was not a man who sought the spotlight. Those who knew him well understood something that formal citations cannot quite capture. He showed up quietly and left institutions permanently transformed. Professor Munavu was born in 1947, a son of Kangundo Machakos, shaped by the red soil of Ukambani, a people, like all Kenyan people, who have always understood the value of hard-won knowledge. He was baptized at Messianic Catholic Diocese in 1957, his early life rooted in faith and anchored by a restless, searching intelligence. He attended Mangu High School in Thika, where his intellectual rigor was first truly tested and sharpened. From Kenya, his path led him to the United States, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Kalamazoo College, a master's degree from Wayne State University, and a doctorate in chemistry from the University of Detroit in 1975. He could have remained overseas in relative comfort, that life was available to him. Instead, he chose to turn around and come back home. That choice, deliberate, unhesitating, and deeply Kenyan, would help reshape the course of higher education in our country. Over a career spanning more than 35 years, he served Kenya's universities at the very highest levels. He was a dean, the Faculty of Science in the University of Nairobi. He was a founding principal of Laikipia College, now part of Egerton University. He was the Vice Chancellor of Moi University and the DVC of the University of Nairobi. He launched international academic partnerships, pioneered student access programs, and published more than 90 research papers. He chaired the Kenya National Academy of Sciences for 19 years. For those contributions, the nation honored him with two of its highest civilian distinctions, the Order of the Grand Warrior and the Elder of the Burning Spear. He wore those honors quietly. A chairman of the Kenya National Examinations Council from 2000 to 2010, he inherited an institution suffering from some credibility crisis. He restored its standing through patient, principled leadership. In a country where examinations do gatekeep futures, he treated that stewardship as a moral duty, not merely an administrative one. As a chairman of the Konza Technopolis Development Authority, he championed the vision of Kenya's Silicon Savannah, a future-facing project in which he genuinely believed and to which he gave his characteristic combination of rigorous analysis and unflinching optimism. In 2022, at the age of 74, our president appointed him to chair the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform. Under his stewardship, the Working Party delivered recommendations that are today reshaping our education curriculum in the country. He was still at that table when death found him, reluctant to rest while there was still work to do. Professor Munavu was in the fullest sense an Akamba elder. He cherished the customs, proverbs, and wisdom and traditions of his people. He believed sincerely that the Africa of the future would be built not by discarding the past, but by understanding it deeply enough to carry its best parts forward. His close friend, architect Dr. Ruben Mutiso, recalled recently that Mzee thoroughly enjoyed building castles in the air. He was an ideas man, always thinking ahead, always looking to innovate, and deeply committed to indigenous methods of knowledge, healing, and learning. The words that echoed most from his vocabulary were telling. He talked of tradition, knowledge, science, indigenous systems, to collaborate, to reflect, boldness, uniqueness, togetherness, and African. Those were not abstract concepts to him. They were a program for how to live. He loved plants and trees and the act of cultivation. He was absorbed by the logic of foundations, the craft of building something that would outlast its builder. Professor Munavu was a storyteller in the truest sense. He told stories the way that wise leaders always do, as vessels for principle, as the most human way of passing on what cannot simply be instructed. He would arrive at the most high-stakes meeting, settle into his chair, and look around the room with those thoughtful eyes and begin. Somehow every story landed where it was needed. But Professor was also a man who laughed. He loved laughter and happiness, and friends will testify that he always had a quick-witted joke ready to give out. His colleague Salome Eyangen, who he fondly called Salome wa Turkana, recalled recently that Professor had an uncanny ability to find pockets of joy in every situation. Even in the most serious moments, his calm smile would soften the room and remind us all not to take ourselves too seriously. At the airport, on one return journey from Malaga in Spain, he had a business class lounge access during the layover, and a colleague didn't. He declined the invitation and waited with her. When she asked him why, he said, "We came on this trip together. We should stay together." Professor Munavu and his wife, Mrs. Salome Ndinda Munavu, partnered strongly together for an enduring, loving 47-year marriage. Around Westlands, here in Nairobi, they were known to be inseparable. They literally walked through life side by side, sharing joys, burdens, and hard-earned gains. He was devoted to her, not in a showy way, but in the quiet, steady way of a man who had found one partner and never looked back. She preceded him in death in 2021, taken by a very sudden cardiac arrest. He bore that loss with the same dignity that he had brought to everything else, steadily and without collapse. But those close to him knew the quiet weight he carried from that day forward. He was also preceded in death by his youngest son, our brother, Dr. Michael Mutemi Munavu, who passed away in Addis in 2022. To lose a child is a grief that sits differently from all others. Mzee carried that too, with a dignity that those around him found humbling and sustaining. As his sons